Hey guys, BlueOJ Leader here. I'm going to be completely transparent with you all. This video idea came to me when I was playing through Persona 3 Reload. Yeah, I know, I'm such a Fate Tarot card fan. Either way though, I thought it would be a fun idea to take these fortune-telling cards with hundreds of variants out there and make a Thomas & Friends themed one. Basically, I want to assign characters to a specific major arcana, sort of like how the Persona series does, and then maybe make some fun designs to go along with them. And that's what I did. And now I have my own personalized tarot card deck. And this video is here to show you the results of this endeavor and explain my reasoning for each character on each card. Before we get started, I hope I already made this clear, but I am not a tarot card expert. My only sources for this video are this website and the Persona games. Hell, I only made a major arcana deck for this video. I'm very clearly not a tarot card master. So please don't take this video too seriously, I just did this for fun. And also, the character choices for each major arcana tarot card is just my opinion, so feel free to disagree, okay? Cool. Anyways, with that being said, let's just dive into this, shall we? Here is me designing Thomas & Friends tarot cards. I guess we'll start at the beginning with the Fool Arcana. The Fool Arcana is defined by its versatility. It's the 0th card because it can belong at the beginning and the end of the deck. The Fool upright symbolizes beginnings, spontaneousness, and being a free spirit. The Fool reversed represents recklessness and needing to hold back. I'll be honest, this was one of the easiest cards to choose a character for. While I don't think he fits every aspect of the Fool Arcana, Thomas the Tank Engine himself is really the only character I can imagine as this card. Thomas as a character is incredibly versatile, yet he's often reckless and carefree just like the Fool. I'm sure Thomas would rather be the first Arcana rather than the 0th, but come on, he's just so foolish. So, with that being said, Thomas is my pick for the Fool Arcana. The Magician Arcana was tricky to say the least. The Magician Arcana is literally magical, and Thomas & Friends isn't a magical show, and no, Magic Railroad doesn't count. Well, okay then, the Magician upright represents resourcefulness and taking action, and when reversed, it symbolizes poor planning and manipulation. I was struggling to think of characters that fit these descriptions, so I looked to the Persona games to help me out with this one. Social links/confidants are cutscenes where you get to hang out with a specific character. Links and characters are often categorized under a specific arcana. For example, morally dubious characters tend to be the Devil Arcana social link. Isolated characters tend to be the Hermit Arcana social link, etc. But the Magician Arcana social links are interesting because they're usually tied to the best buddy characters, Kenji, Junpei, Yosuke, Morgana, and that's when it hit me. Percy should represent the Magician. I mean, he's Thomas's best buddy after all, and he's been known to have poor planning and be manipulative yet resourceful. I might be stretching this one, but I think Percy fits as well as any character does for the Magician Arcana. The High Priestess was interesting. The High Priestess Arcana can be summarized as divine femininity. When upright, it symbolizes institution and knowledge, but when reversed, it symbolizes withdrawal and being secretive. Initially, for picking which character I wanted to represent this card, my mind thought of Shy Girl. You know, a character like Fuka or Yukiko from Persona. But the number of female characters in Thomas & Friends isn't that high, nor are there a lot of shy girls in that bunch. So I thought about the High Priestess again, and my mind went to knowledge and social withdrawal. And then my mind turned to Mavis. She has a lot of knowledge and intuition. She's kinda disconnected from everyone. I don't know, man. I think this might be the best we've got. Mavis is the High Priestess Arcana. I mean, I really can't think of anyone else for this one. The Empress Arcana initially seemed like it would be similar to the High Priestess, but turned out to be a little different. The Empress can also be summarized as femininity, however, it's a little more maternal. When upright, it symbolizes nurturing, beauty, and abundance. But when reversed, it symbolizes connection and self-image. So for me, the choice was very obvious. Emily is really the only one I can imagine as the Empress. I mean, there's literally an episode where she wants to be a queen. But in all seriousness, she can be very maternal at times, and her design is beautiful, and she cares a lot about her self-image, so it made sense to me. Emily is the one who I want to represent the Empress Arcana. The Emperor Arcana was also pretty easy to figure out. The Emperor Arcana is defined by authority. If the Empress is the mom, then the Emperor is the dad. When upright, it symbolizes structure, power, and leadership. And when reversed, it symbolizes domination and inflexibility. Now, I'll be honest. While all of this sounds like a completely different character from the one that I'm about to say, I truly cannot lie, because I really want Gordon to be the Emperor Arcana. Yes, Sir Topham Hatt probably fits this more, but 1, I want him for a different Arcana, and 2, Gordon fits the Arcana pretty well too. I mean, he dominates the rails, he can be pretty inflexible, he represents structure, I guess to some extent. And if we're counting all engines go, we've seen that he can be a father figure. So you know what? I don't care if you disagree. Gordon is my pick for the Emperor Arcana. Figuring out who to use for the Hierophant Arcana was weird. It's considered the counterpart to the High Priestess, but it's also defined as the teacher. So I immediately thought of a character like Edward, but then I read into it a bit further. When upright, the Hierophant symbolizes wisdom, but also conformity and tradition, and when reversed, it symbolizes challenging the status quo and personal beliefs. So while I think Edward would make sense to be the Hierophant, 1, I think he would work better for a different Arcana, and 2, I don't think he completely applies to this one. I don't associate the status quo with him, or really any character for that matter. But with that said though, Persona games usually tie the Hierophant Arcana to older characters like the old couple, Dojima and Sojiro. So maybe we should probably stick closer to older Thomas characters. And then it hit me. What about Starlowy and Rheneas? They're old and wise engines, and they've had a long, unchanged life. But then a lot about the status quo changed as they grew older. I mean, it's not perfect, but hey, at least the narrow gauge engines get to be on a tarot card. That should be worth something, right? Whatever. Starlowy and Rheneas are my picks for the Hierophant Arcana. The Lover's Arcana was another easy one. The Lover's upright symbolized love, harmony, and relationships, and when reversed, it symbolizes disharmony and imbalance. Now, Thomas and Friends doesn't really have romantic or, thank God, sexual love between the engines as a part of the show. The closest we've got to romantic love was the episode Rosie is Red, so okay, I guess we have to give it to Rosie. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. What, you'd rather have Lady Happy on the card? Actually, that might be a good idea. You want? No, I want Rosie on this card. Screw it, I don't care. Rosie is who I want for the lovers. It just makes sense. Anyway, moving on. Alright, the Chariot was interesting, mainly because I think some people are going to disagree with me on this one. See, when upright, the Chariot symbolizes willpower, success, and determination. And when reversed, it symbolizes self-discipline and opposition. The Chariot seemed to do a lot with control of one's might and being able to move forward. I thought maybe Henry or Gordon would be a good choice, but then I found better Arcana choices for those characters to represent, so I can't really use them here. And the thing is, there isn't really a single character that's defined by determination. Or is there? This is where Edward comes in. Edward is a wise engine, but his true character is his unflinching determination. He will push Gordon up the hill. He will get the passengers home. He will get the job done despite everyone saying he should give up. On the surface, this might seem weird, but Edward is my favorite character, so please allow me to have a bit of freedom with him. Edward is who I want to represent the Chariot Arcana. The Strength Arcana was another easy one to figure out. When upright, it symbolizes strength, obviously, but also courage and compassion. And when reversed, it symbolizes self-doubt and raw emotion. Like, let's be real here, there was no other contender. It has to go to Henry. He's strong and compassionate, but also raw in his emotions when he wants to be. This was a no-brainer for me. Henry is the Strength Arcana. Moving on. The Hermit, however, was another interesting one. See, when upright, the Hermit symbolizes introspection and being alone. But when reversed, it represents isolation and loneliness. I wasn't really sure who this applied to at first. What character in Thomas and Friends is lonely? I initially thought Cranky, but he's not really defined by introspection. He's lonely, but he also always has Salty with him, so does that really count? I don't know, who else? I guess there's Hero. He was isolated for a long time, even outside of being far from home. I wouldn't really say he's a soul searcher, but he can be somewhat introspective and very observant. So, you know what? Sure, that works for me. Hero is my pick for the Hermit Arcana. Why not? I'll be honest, the Wheel of Fortune Arcana was a cop-out. When upright, it symbolizes good luck, and when reversed, it symbolizes bad luck. I know it's more than that, but guys, there are like 20 other Arcanas to deal with. I kinda gave up when it came to this one. Sure, Daisy has some bad luck sometimes. She can also have some good luck too. Plus, it's nice to get a female character to represent an Arcana that isn't just one of the obvious feminine ones. I don't know, man, just cut me some slack. Daisy is who I want for the Wheel of Fortune Arcana. Moving on. Okay, here we go. The Justice Arcana. When upright, justice symbolizes fairness, truth, and cause and effect. And when reversed, it symbolizes unfairness and dishonesty. Choosing someone for this Arcana was difficult at first because I couldn't really think of anyone. I thought Percy would work because of the episode Dictates Charge, but he's already the Magician Arcana, so that wouldn't work. But who else? Oh, obviously, he's literally in the name of the episode. Duck would be perfect for the Justice Arcana. He literally fought for justice alongside Percy in Dictates Charge, and he suffered an injustice when Diesel told lies about him. I feel so stupid for not coming to this conclusion sooner, but you know what? I've reached it now, so Duck is my pick for the Justice Arcana. The Hangman Arcana. This was tricky to say the least. When upright, the Hangman symbolizes pause, surrender, and letting go, and when reversed, it represents delay and indecision. I wasn't really sure if there were any characters that fit this description. I mean, pausing, letting go, I couldn't really think of anyone. So I decided to turn to the Persona series again and looked at the Hanged Man's social links and confidants. Alright, let's see here. We have Maito, Naoki, and Iwai. Alright, so the recurring theme here seems to be rough circumstances. Is there a character who might fit this? Well, there is. And honestly, I think this is the character choice I'm the most proud of. I think Luke should represent the Hanged Man. He lived in hiding because he thought he killed an engine, but when Thomas learns the truth, he needs to learn to let go of that past. I think Luke works surprisingly well for this Arcana. And you know what? Let's do it! Luke is my pick for the Hanged Man Arcana. The Death Arcana was surprisingly easier to figure out. When upright, death symbolizes endings, change, and transition, and when reversed, it represents personal transformation and inner purging. So, scrapping, aka the death of an engine, is a big part of Thomas and Friends, even if it's a part that's not focused on that much. There are a few characters that are tied to this concept, and there was one of those characters that fit the Death Arcana almost perfectly. And that character, of course, is Oliver, an engine who nearly met his end but had a lucky break and now has transitioned to a new wonderful life on the island of Sodor. Yet, even so, he had another personal transformation as he soon learned sense and put his ego aside. It's almost too perfect, and there really wasn't anyone else who could fit this Arcana more than him. So, you know what? Oliver is my pick for the Death Arcana. The Temperance Arcana. I'm sorry guys, this was another cop-out. When upright, it symbolizes balance, and when reversed, it symbolizes imbalance. Are there any characters that have to do with balance? I guess you could argue Donald and Douglas balance each other out because they're twins. Sure, why not? I honestly just want Donald and Douglas in this tarot card set. Sue me. They're my pick for the Temperance Arcana. I want to go to bed. Ooh, this is a fun one. The Devil Arcana. When upright, it symbolizes the shadow of oneself, addiction, and restriction. But when reversed, it symbolizes detaching oneself from limiting beliefs and exploring dark thoughts. Now, the answer for who should represent this Arcana should be obvious. Of course it has to be Diesel or Diesel 10. Well, for one, I have a different Arcana in mind for Diesel. And two, Diesel 10's too easy, let's be honest. I wanted to do something a little more clever for the Devil, and I think I found a perfect character for it. So hear me out. I think Spencer should represent the Devil Arcana. I mean, for one, he is an antagonist and even a villain for one of the Thomas specials, and is extremely boastful and hated by the other engines. But he also was able to somewhat let go of his limiting mean side in Season 21 and become friends with Gordon. I mean, sure, Diesel 10 probably works better, but I want to be different, so Spencer is who I want to represent the Devil Arcana. Sorry, but not really. The Tower Arcana was tricky for a couple reasons. Number one, there was the Arcana itself. When upright, the tower symbolizes sudden change, chaos, and revelations, and when reversed, it symbolizes fear of change and avoiding disaster. These themes are very specific, which brings me to number two. There are not a lot of other characters left to choose from, and a couple of them are main characters that I really want to be in this tarot card deck, but they just haven't been chosen yet. I was really struggling by this point, so I once again turned to the Persona games for help and looked at the Tower Social Link / Confidants. Alright, so we got Mutatsu, we got Shu, and the Gamer. Okay, so there's a theme of high status, but then falling from grace. Is there a character like that in the series, or maybe even a main character? Well, you've got James, an engine who's the member of the big engines, yet is often ignored by Gordon. He also often tries to avoid disaster and... Okay, this is definitely a stretch. He can be chaotic, right? I don't know, man. This is the best I've got. James is my pick for representing the Tower Arcana. Sorry, I guess. The Star Arcana. Okay, you're gonna have to hear me out on this one. So when upright, the star symbolizes hope, purpose, and renewal, and when reversed, it symbolizes lack of faith and disconnection. But I'm just gonna cut to the chase here, because I think that Toby should be the star. Why? Well, he had renewed purpose when he was saved by Sir Topham Hatt, he lost his faith when his railway was closed, but the main reason is because Toby is a star. He's incredible, he's amazing, he lights up the world. I don't care what anyone says, Toby is representing the Star Arcana. He deserves it. Okay, look, I know I've kind of been cheating for these last couple Arcana, but with that being said, I think I have a good pick for the Moon Arcana. When upright, the moon symbolizes fear, illusion, and the subconscious. And when reversed, it symbolizes repressed emotion and inner confusion. So, remember when I said that Diesel shouldn't be the Devil Arcana? Well, that is because I want Diesel to be the Moon Arcana. I mean, he brings fear, he creates illusions through his manipulation, and like the Gourmet King in Ayabahara, he's truly unlikable. But then we get to the episode Springtime for Diesel, and now we can see his repressed emotions, his inner confusion and turmoil, and just like the King and I, he's able to become better by the end. In my opinion, it's just too perfect, and there really wasn't anyone else who I can imagine for this Arcana, so Diesel is my pick for the Moon Arcana. The Sun Arcana was a no-brainer for me. See, when upright, it symbolizes positivity, warmth, and success, and when reversed, it symbolizes your inner child and being overly optimistic, or, on the other side, feeling down. Now, this description arguably fits a lot of characters, so why was this a no-brainer for me? Simple, because I chose someone for the Sun Arcana right after choosing for the Moon Arcana. And you might see where I'm going with this, but I believe that Paxton should represent the Sun Arcana. Such a happy and positive character, maybe even a little too much. He can be like a child sometimes, and of course, with Diesel being the polar opposite to him, it makes sense that Paxton represents the Arcana that's opposite to the Moon. So, yeah, it was obvious. Paxton was my pick for the Sun Arcana. Alright, the Judgment Arcana. When upright, it symbolizes, well, judgment, but also rebirth and absolution. Now, with that being said, I kinda focused on the judgment part of this Arcana, not really the other stuff, which is why now I'm finally going to address why Sir Topham Hatt was not the Emperor. It's because I want him to represent judgment. I mean, it makes sense, right? He's the ultimate judge of the Northwestern. He's the one that decides if someone is being really useful or not. You can disagree with this, and that's fine, but to be fair, it's not like anyone else could realistically fit this Arcana. It makes sense to me, so Sir Topham Hatt is my choice for the Judgment Arcana. And finally, we come to the last major arcana, which is, of course, the World Arcana. When upright, it symbolizes completion and accomplishment, and when reversed, it symbolizes seeking personal closure as well as shortcuts and delays. But for me, there was really only one character that could be the World Arcana. Or should I say, characters. The Steam Team is what I want to represent the world. The group might not fit the description, but it is just so fitting, having the final card be everyone together. I mean, the most important thing is being friends, and the Steam Team were on top of the world at one point. It's literally too perfect. So, there was Thomas, Percy, Mavis, Emily, Gordon, Starlo and Rheneas, Rosie, Edward, Henry, Hero, Daisy, Duck, Luke, Oliver, Donald and Douglas, Spencer, James, Toby, Diesel, Paxton, and Sir Topham Hatt, and now we end with the Steam Team, bringing everything together. And those are my Thomas and Friends tarot cards. This video was a lot of fun to make, and I couldn't have done it without this website. So if you want to learn more about tarot cards or learn more about my reasoning, please check it out. Although, like I said before, I am no professional when it comes to tarot cards, so if you have better character choices for each of the major arcana, I'm curious to hear what all of your guys' thoughts are. But with that being said, I think that's finally it, folks. Thank you all for watching till the end, and best wishes until we meet again.